go ahead.
I would now like to call to order
Will now be recorded.
the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, January 9th. We have a roll call.
Byrd. Cooper. Here. Gilmore.
Here.
Gleason.
Here.
Hodges.
Present.
Holloway.
Here.
R. Johnson.
Here.
Kiefer.
Here.
Lord. Here. Nolan. Obleton.
Here.
Patel. Adela Rasso.
Here.
Alan Rasso.
Here.
Wills.
Here.
And we do have a quorum.
Thank you so much. First order of business is, are there any citizens with CAC business to present to the CAC? Seeing none, we will move to review and approve the minutes from the November 7th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Thank you. Next will be a year 49 applications, work session, and presentation meeting. Heather?
Before you, you have paper copies of the applications that were received. As a reminder, we did do online applications this year. So all of the applications were due into the cities. It's essentially our online bidding system, but we're using it for our application system for this purpose. And we did receive applications. We sent them out to you in PDF copy via email, but you have them here via paper as well. We received the applications from kind of our same sort of class of applicants that we have received from in previous years. I do want to say that this year we had multiple conversations with 3 different agencies who were very interested in applying and just decided, new agencies, and just decided they weren't quite ready. So we are very much expecting that we'll have new applicants next year, barring some change. So one of the organizations was one we talked to last year and kind of was all ready to go and then just decided they just weren't quite ready for it to make the commitment, so they were waiting another year. And then the other ones were new to us this year, and they kind of got the information and decided to wait another year to apply. But we're very optimistic that we'll get applications from one or more of those agencies next year. You also have the summary, which is sort of the table of dollar amounts. So that shows you what was requested in the prior year, what was received. By prior year, I mean the year that we're in. So this is the confusing time of year where we're talking about the year before, the current year that we're in, and the year that's upcoming. So in the current year, year 48, it shows what they've requested and received, and then what they're requesting for year 49. We do ask that everyone review all of the applications, start to go through them and think through your questions that you might have. The business before us tonight is not to actually read or score the applications in front of us. You're going to kind of spend the next week or so doing that yourself, reading through them and kind of getting a feel for them. But the business tonight is to decide if the group wants to have a work session, and if so, we'll talk about what that will look like. And then at our February meeting, we typically have in-person presentations by the applicants or virtual presentations by the applicants. So the CAC will need to decide if they want to continue to have presentations, and if so, do you want that to be in person, virtual, or some combination of the two? So those are kind of our points of discussion regarding applications for the night.
Thank you. So first up will be, what does the committee feel about us having a work session whereby we would do the scoring, correct?
So at the work session, it's first of all not mandatory. Members can attend if they want to. It's a really good opportunity, really the only opportunity that we have scheduled for all of the members to kind of come together and talk through questions that they have about the applications. What you do is we kind of go through the applications one by one. If you have any questions, you bring it up to the group. We kind of talk it through. Sometimes it's something another member will have thought of as well, or we as staff might know the answer to it, just having worked with these agencies for a long time. And if at the end of that kind of process, if we still have questions available, Dawn takes them down and we send them to the applicants by email, and they get 1 week to reply. So they get the written questions from you, and then they reply in writing with their answers. And if you aren't able to come to the work session, or if the group would decide not to have one, you would still have the same opportunity. You would just need to submit those questions to us in writing, and then we would submit them on to the applicants that way. I think the work session is a great thing, and I think maybe some of our longer-term members can say whether or not, kind of what their experience has been. But it's not, HUD doesn't require it, it's just kind of been a tradition. Oh, and it's not recorded either. So it's not a business meeting of CAC, it's just a work session.
Is there any discussion?
Is this the tentative one?
It is tentative. So originally we had scheduled it on the 16th, which is a holiday. So we moved it to the 17th, and HUD promptly scheduled training right over the top of it. And so it may be the case that Dawn and I aren't here on the 17th, in which case we would probably need to move it to the 19th. So we are hopefully going to know by the end of this week if we are going to have to go to that training or not. So we're going to let you know just as soon as we know. It's very inconvenient. We apologize for that.
Did we just, if we decide to have one, would you want to just maybe schedule it for the 16th?
The 16th, the city hall is closed.
Oh,
It's a Monday. So the 17th is the Tuesday, and we may be
The
gone.
19th, I'm sorry.
So, I mean, we're okay with you changing that date, subject to we have to make sure city council, either council chambers or the police community room, one of the two is open.
Okay.
Or one of the libraries. We just have to find a location for it, but we definitely don't have to have it on the 17th. If you'd rather just, if you want to have it and you want to know the date today, schedule it and we'll find a place for it.
So that was your question. You want to move it to the 19th?
Heather?
Is that,
Oh, Adela, yes.
I was just thinking, and I don't know what everybody else will suggest. I just think it would be beneficial because we have a couple of new members to the committee. So it would be nice for them to kind of see the process, or, with those who have been there for a while, kind of to go over with them or explain them the track that we have with these entities.
Oh, I think that's valid.
Definitely. So, if we had a work session, what are our thoughts about January 19th, that Thursday?
Does that work for you? From a staff perspective, as long as we can find a venue, we don't have a problem with the Thursday.
Does somebody want to? Yep.
It
So,
would still be the same time, yeah.
Carl had a question.
How long is the work session and what time of the day would it be then?
It would still be at 6 o'clock, and most of our members work, so we would expect that it would still be at 6 o'clock. And then usually it's about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, but I'm going to caveat that by saying it will depend on our venue. If it's at the police department, it has to be over in 1 hour because that's all that they're open. And then it will depend on the closing time of the libraries. So we'll have to find that out for you.
suggest maybe it would be helpful if those who think that they might attend, like, raise your hand, and maybe those are the ones that, really need to focus on the date.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And Adela, I'm going to assume that you would be raising your hand as well.
Yes, I'm raising my hand.
If there's at least 5 of us, then I would say, yeah, go for it.
Okay. And we'll work on getting that time for you. We'll say that that's the time unless we can't find a place. So we'll get back to you by tomorrow,
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So that's item 1.
Do we need to vote on that, or are we just saying
It's a
have
con-
staff look at it?
It's a consensus
Yeah.
item, so unless you want to, you certainly can vote if you would like to, but you certainly don't have to.
No, that's great. And then there is a question, do we have the subrecipient applicants, do they make in-person presentations, online presentations, or a combination of the
Of the
both?
two, or
Of
no
two.
presentations at all.
Or no
So
presentations at
those-
all.
Yeah, so if you want to continue having, those of you who've been here, historically, we have the applicants come in, pre-COVID, they always came in person and did presentations. Then in kind of the COVID era, the last 2 years, in 2021, they were entirely virtual. In 2022, earlier this year, they had the option to come in or not come in. They could do virtual or in person. And then for 2023, it would be the decision of the group to either to have them, and if you have them, in what format, or if you don't feel you want to have them, there's no requirement that you do. It's not a HUD requirement, it's more something that CAC members in the past have found helpful to have members come in, or recipients come in and talk through what their programs are and who their beneficiaries are. Sometimes they bring a beneficiary or have a presenter that has participated in their program to kind of talk through their experience. So I think there have been really positive outcomes from it in the past. So it would just be up to the group how you would like to proceed with that.
Mr. Gilmore?
And two, that also gives the CAC members a chance to ask them questions.
That's correct,
For
yes. Mm-hmm.
clarification, if there's something that comes up, it's like, well, what do you do in this case? Or aren't you doing the same thing as this other organization?
And
So it gives you a one-on-one in person or even virtual.
yeah, and thank you for clarifying, yes, because the format has typically been a 5-minute presentation and then there is no time limit for questions. So the CAC, depending on what the program is, sometimes they're clarifying new questions that hadn't been thought of. Sometimes the written responses to the written questions maybe were unclear, and so you want to kind of drill down on those a little bit. So it's just another opportunity to kind of feel out what the program is and what the benefits are.
Do you have any kind of feeling as to how many will be virtual or?
It's up to the group if you even want to offer that option. It's not mandatory. Last year, I believe we had 1 or 2 in person and the rest were virtual, is my recollection. Yeah, quite a few were still virtual. So a lot of the agency offices were still closed last year. So they weren't in their offices, working. They were working from home still. So my feeling, again, not based on fact, but I think a few more of our subrecipients are back fully in their offices now, but there are still some who either aren't back or aren't going back. So I would expect if there's a virtual option, some will partake in it, but I would expect that if it's only in person, everyone would make that work too.
Mr. Nolan? Nope. Who's, but Joseph.
Hey, you.
It's crazy.
My question was going to be, is there a way we can encourage them to be here in person this year since we don't have the restrictions that we've had in previous years?
I think if the group decides you want to have them in person, then they should just be all in person, because if there's a virtual option, I guarantee at least a couple of them will pick it. So it's just if you want to offer that flexibility or not. And we wouldn't, I don't know that we would be able to,
Mandate it.
yeah, if we gave the option, everybody would have the option. I don't think we could say, you know, I don't know how we would encourage it. We either are gonna require them to come in or not come in, I think.
Mr. Kiefer?
My personal opinion would be to make it in person for all of them. I don't know, and everyone else's thoughts on it, but I think it's a lot more personable. You get to see, and it gives, it's an effort, more of an effort for them, you know, shows that they care. I don't know.
Any opposing?
I would agree with that. Plus, I'm sorry.
No, please, I was just gonna
say,
ask
I
you.
would I would agree with that. Plus, I also like to put the face to the name of the application versus just seeing a name that, well, I don't know who they are. I don't know, it's more personable, like he said.
Great. Is there a recommendation from the committee?
I make a motion that you, do it in person.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion seconded
Yeah.
that the presentations be in person. Roll call?
I think it could be a voice vote. I don't know that we have.
All
the
those in favor?
Roll call sheets here.
Not a problem.
expecting
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Great.
Great.
Okay.
So I think it's passed that we will encourage all the recipients to make a presentation in person. Thank you so much.
And we will pass that on to the applicants tomorrow. So just for your records, it's on your packet too, but the presentation meeting will be February 6th.
Sixth, yep.
At 6 p.m. It'll be our regular business meeting of the CAC. So we'll just reverse the order of things. So we'll have the presentation first, and then we'll do our agenda items after the presentations are completed.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other business before the CAC? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Can we didn't catch the motion and the second for adjourn. Who was
So
that?
we have Ms. Hodges
And
and
Mr.
Ms.
Ogleson.
Ogleson.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. It's been
You were
motion
so
second.
eager to get out, we didn't even catch it.
We will call the January 9th CAC meeting to adjournment. Have a good day.
Okay. All right, so we'll get back to you tomorrow on the location for the application work session. We encourage you to start going through your applications and reading through them, and if you have any questions about them, jotting them down. And then we'll get you the date. And remember, even if you can't come to the work session or aren't interested, you can still email us your questions and we'll get them into the list that goes out to the applicants. And that will go out the end of the week that we have the work session. It'll go out that Friday, and then they'll have 1 week to respond, and we'll get you the answers the Monday after they're due. So we'll get those out to you as soon as we can. All right. All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks at the work session.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Adela.
Bye-bye.